And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Almost all of us are familiar with the character Sherlock Holmes. Some of us love his books, his movies, and all sorts of things like that. Well, today we're going to check out a game, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, from your Starry Games. It says it's 1 to 8 players, 13 and up. It takes about an hour. I pretty much always only play this with one player. It's kind of like a solo thing. You can play it with other players. We'll take a look. We're going to look at the components, check out how it's played, and I'll give you my final thoughts about being a consulting detective, going through different areas of London, and trying to beat Sherlock Holmes himself in getting the case solved faster than him. Let's show you some of the components in Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. There are 10 different cases to play, each one of them labeled as what case number, and it's a certain date, and they all go in chronological order. So we have some great ones here. They all look quite different between the type of case they are, the type of style, the artwork, but essentially there's 10 of them here. So it should give you a good amount of replayability value since it does take an hour or two to go through each of these. So yeah, there's the different cases that you can play in this game. You also get a map of London, and it's separated into different quadrants. So you have the southwest quadrant, northwest, west central, east central, and southeast. They all are numbered in the area that they are. Also gives you a scale of this is 15 minutes of time, so you can map out and see if things match up during the cases. And these are the different areas that you'll be looking at. So for example, if I'm in the southwest region and I had just investigated at 19 southwest, but maybe I wanted to go to this post office at 32 Southwest, we'd then go look in the London directory to go see what would happen there. It comes with a London directory, which basically has all sorts of names from alphabetized all the way through. And a lot of times when you're looking for someone specific, you can look through this to find out where to investigate them. And the last page of this has certain things like tea rooms and theaters and tobacco places, different places that you may want to see, and it has all the different names of them and where they are located on the map and how to find and investigate those. There's also a stack of newspapers that come, which is really cool. And you have one of these papers for each of the cases. They go in chronological order. And at the beginning, you only have one paper, but as you get to the different cases that are later in the game, the clues that you'll be looking for in the paper can be from the paper for that day or recent, or it could be from any of the earlier ones. So a lot of times you're reading these, going through the pages, looking for clues. And again, there's about 10 different days of papers here. And certain ones will correspond with certain cases, but earlier ones can always be used for later cases. So how does the game actually get played? I'm not going to show you any spoilers, but what happens at the beginning of each case, you will get a long story of something that happened. You'll be talking to Sherlock Holmes. He will, in the story, give you enough information to get started and to look at some leads. Now, it's sort of like a choose-your-own adventure book like the old days, as you would choose a lead, you would look up their name in the London directory, as I showed before. You would then open the case book for that case to that location, and you would read a story and either get a dead-end lead or find some new information. For example, if I went to 29 East Central to find someone specific I was looking for, it might say, we knock on the door of Flavius Nass' residence, but no one answers. At this time of the day, it might be at his office. So obviously you'd try to figure out where his office is and go there next. Some of the clues have pictures and things that you can look at. I don't want to spend too much time on there because I don't want to spoil things for you. But there are some pictures and things that you may look at, and there's all different places to go. There's also a list of addresses of the allies that Sherlock Holmes gives you, and these are plenty of people that you can see. They tell you who they are, where they're located, and what they're good at. So if you do get stuck, there's some experts that you can go visit that will hopefully point you in the right direction. So all in all, you're going to leads, you're taking notes, you're keeping track of how many leads you take. At the end of the game, if you've solved the puzzle, Sherlock Holmes always gets 100 points. For every extra lead that you've used to find the end of the puzzle, you minus 5 points. And so you're trying to beat Sherlock Holmes, which will probably never happen. But at the end of the game, you have to answer a series of questions, some that pertain to the actual case directly, and some that are indirectly, some finer details. So you'll answer a series of questions, and then you will compare those questions and answers to Sherlock Holmes' answers to see if you get them right. I don't want to show you anything here. And so that's essentially what happens. You answer 2 series of questions. Depending on how you answer them, you're either right or wrong, and you get a certain amount of points for how many leads less than Sherlock Holmes or more you got. All right, well, there's Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. Now, let me preface this. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I love deduction games. However, I do not like this one. It's one of the few that I've reviewed of deduction games that I don't like. Let me tell you why I don't like it. First of all, it's really a solo game. It says 1 to 8, but for me, it was a much better experience playing it by myself than with other people. Now, you can play it with, I'd say, 2 or 3 maybe if you're going around and playing the version of the game where you work together and you're kind of flushing out ideas and talking about things and then kind of deciding where to go together. That can work, although still it wasn't as good of an experience as playing by yourself. Trying to play the other version in the variants that has you play each person is essentially on their own, and they're all playing solo, and you're all trying to figure out who can do it the fastest. That just takes way too long, and it's not nearly as exciting. So even in the best experience, which for me was the solo player, here's why I didn't like it. Well, let me tell you what I did like about it first. The part I did like about it, and it was the part that the reason why I really bought the game, was because of that old choose your own adventure. Back in the, when you were a kid, you had those books where you could choose your own adventure and you'd get to a spot and you'd go, oh, if you're gonna do this, go to page 45. If you're gonna do this, go to page 83. And you would go there, and every time it would be different because you're going in different spots and sort of going down different rabbit holes. And this does that. This is the reason why I bought this game. I thought that would be cool to play that. And it does do that. But the problem I have with the game is that it's just too darn hard. Now, granted, I'm very good at deduction. I'm an engineer. I think logic all day long. But you're never going to get close to beating Sherlock Holmes in this game. Not only are you never going to get close to beating Sherlock Holmes, you're not even going to come close, probably, most of you. I had problems even getting the cases right. And I found myself getting to the point where I've been playing a case for an hour, sometimes 90 minutes, and I was just stuck. And not that I was dumb, but like, I just wish that if it was designed so that if you were going down the wrong way, it would kind of point you in the right direction. And then, at the end, it would finally give you enough tangible evidence to go for sure, this is what happened and this is how they did it. Of course, you'd be really low in the scoring, but at least you'd be able to finish it. Where I got stuck on all 3 cases that I tried, the 1, 2, and 3, I didn't solve any of them. So, and I got stuck, and I never was able to sort of get to the point where I absolutely could say this was it. So for me, you had to do a lot of reading between the lines, which some people might like. Sherlock Holmes' explanations and his things were just impossible to find. He's so amazing that he just deduces things that weren't even there. I mean, so for me, I didn't like it because it was just too hard. I was never able to get an actual answer. You always have to read between lines, which some people like. I didn't like it. So for me, I can't recommend this game. I just didn't like it. I never got the feeling that it was actually really that solvable. So that's what I think.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.